Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so today our mission is to really get into some pretty dense research. We're focusing on an extensive look into one of history's most, well, mysterious religious figures, the shaman.
Yeah, and we're digging into some classic comparative religious history sources here, looking at the mechanics, the purpose, and some truly wild initiatory techniques, specifically ecstasy.
Right, ecstasy. But first, the material, it seems really rigorous about terminology, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It insists we need to clear up some common confusion right at the start.
Absolutely crucial. We often see terms like shaman, medicine man, sorcerer, magician all jumbled together, almost used interchangeably in anthropology sometimes.
Okay, let's tackle that straight away. Because the sources we looked at argue pretty strongly that this carelessness obscures what's really going on.
It really does. To get to the heart of it, the term shaman should be applied, well, strictly, specifically to individuals who are specialists in one particular technique.
And that technique is?
Ecstasy. That's the absolute cornerstone.
So a true shaman, according to these sources, isn't just about general magic or healing. It's defined by their ability to achieve this very specialized state of mind.
Exactly. A state where they consciously transcend the everyday, the profane human condition. This lets them communicate directly with the invisible world, with spirits, with gods, with the dead.
Which makes them specialists in, well, travel, right, cosmic travel. Their main job involves navigating the different levels of reality.
Precisely. You could call it an ecstatic mission. It requires them fundamentally to be able to ascend to the sky or descend into the underworld.
And they act as this living link, this essential connection between our world, the heavens, and the underworld for their whole community.
They're the guides, the messengers, the cartographers of the spirit world, if you like.
That's a seriously high-stakes job description. So how does someone actually get signed up for this? I'm guessing it's not usually a voluntary career choice.
Not typically, no. The sources highlight two main intense methods of election, and often there's a sense of celestial intervention, something powerful choosing them.
Okay, what are they?
Well, the first one, which can sometimes seem a bit less dramatic on the surface, is hereditary transmission. We see this among groups like the Buryat people in southern Siberia.
So it runs in the family.
Often, yes. The office, the power, it's passed down through family lines. But interestingly, even in these cases, the sources say divine election might suddenly intervene, overriding the hereditary line.
Ah, okay. But the second path, that sounds like the really dramatic one.
It is direct divine election. And this often shows up as a violent, unmistakable accident. The gods or spirits make their choice, and they don't tend to be subtle about it.
How so? What kind of accidents are we talking about?
Well, among the Soyot people, and in other Buryat examples too, the chosen person might literally be struck by lightning and survive.
Struck by lightning. Okay, that's pretty unambiguous.
Or there's this one fascinating Buryat story. A man apparently became a shaman after drinking terrasin. That's a kind of alcoholic drink made from mare's milk. But the drink happened to contain a stone that had fallen from the sky.
A meteorite or something like it in his drink.
Something like that, yes. These kinds of, bizarre, near-fatal accidents are seen as proof that the power comes directly from above, from the heavens.
That's definitely dramatic proof.
Yes.
But receiving that power, that celestial tap on the shoulder, it sounds like it comes with a huge cost, usually sickness.
Almost always. The election, the calling, it usually manifests first as a really serious, though temporary illness. This is what you might call the great paradox of shamanic sickness.
And it often hits around adolescence, right? Puberty.
Frequently, yes. Right around the time of sexual maturity. It essentially forces the individual through this profound, often unwanted transformation. It can be debilitating physically and mentally.
So the illness is the start of the initiation.
Correct. The illness itself, the suffering, is the initial phase. And what's absolutely key here is understanding the cure. The future shaman only gets relief, only gets cured, when the very spirits who caused the sickness agree to become their permanent guides, their helpers.
They're permanent tutelaries, the texts call them. So these spirits aren't just like tormentors. They become compulsory allies. Powerful partners.
Essentially, yes. They become the shaman's protectors and their agents in the invisible world. The very source of the affliction transforms into the source of their power, authenticated by these spirit relationships.
It makes sense then why this whole sickness theme has historically led to some conflicting views about the shaman's mental state.
Oh, definitely. You had older Western observers, for example, who focused almost entirely on neuropathology. They'd point to accounts of newer shamans being extremely nervous or epileptic.
Or Samoan epileptics becoming diviners, or the Batak people apparently preferring candidates who are sickly.
Exactly. So there was this tendency to pathologize it, to just label it as some kind of nervous disorder or mental instability, which is, well, an incomplete picture, to say the least.
Because there's a lot of evidence pointing the other way, isn't there?
A huge amount. If you look at many indigenous accounts, you get a completely different portrait. Shamans are often described as having exceptionally keen intelligence, amazing physical flexibility, almost boundless energy.
Like that Yakut shaman, Mitchell. The sources mention him being an older man, but during his trance performances, he could leap higher than the youngest men there.
Right. And could apparently swallow burning coals without harm.
Swallowing burning coals. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That definitely pushes us beyond a simple nervous breakdown explanation. That's firmly in superhuman territory.
It certainly is. It really forces the question, is the illness just a temporary trial, a rite of passage they overcome? Or maybe are they actually using or mastering a naturally nervous or sensitive disposition to help them achieve the trance state?
That's interesting. So it's less about fixing a weakness and more about harnessing a unique psychological pathway. The nervous energy itself becomes fuel for the ecstatic flight.
That seems closer to what the sources suggest, yes. The visions, the sickness, the dreams, the trances. These aren't just symptoms, they're the experiences that radically and permanently alter the person's religious status. The suffering is the initiation. It's a symbolic death and rebirth of their entire being.
Okay, let's dive deeper into that death aspect. Because the theme of mystical death and rebirth seems absolutely central to becoming one of these specialists.
It's core. And we have some incredible, vivid narratives detailing this transformation. Take the experience recorded from an Evam Samoyed individual.
Okay, what happened there?
Well, this future shaman got sick with smallpox really severely. He was unconscious for 3 days, basically left for dead. But he described a whole initiation journey happening during that time.
So being near death wasn't the tragedy, it was the mechanism, the doorway.
Yeah.
What did he experience in that state?
In his vision, or ecstasy, he said he was carried into the middle of a sea. There he met the Lady of the Water, a powerful spirit, and actually suckled at her breast.
Wow, like a symbolic adoption by the underworld powers.
Precisely. Then, guided by animal helpers, I think it was an ermine and a mouse in his account, he was led through the spirit world. And crucially, he encountered the lords or spirits responsible for various diseases, smallpox, nervous disorders, all sorts.
So the idea is you have to confront the source of the suffering, the spirit behind the illness, to gain the power to eventually cure it in others.
Exactly. It's like maybe less like a doctor diagnosing and more like developing an immunity or a vaccine almost. A controlled exposure to the mystical danger grants the knowledge to combat it.
Knowledge gained through being, well, taken apart.
Yeah.
Which brings us to that really striking theme, symbolic dismemberment.
Yes, and reconstruction. Candidates, especially among peoples like the Yakut, often report terrifying visions during their initiation sickness. They see their own bodies being torn apart by spirits, maybe boiled in a cauldron or stripped right down to the bone.
That image of being reduced to a skeleton,
Yeah.
it keeps coming up.
It's vital, especially clear among Eskimo shamans, the Angakok. A key part of their initiation involves the contemplation of their own skeleton. The novice has to mentally strip away their own flesh and blood until only the bare bones remain.
Why? What does that achieve?
This intense self-contemplation, this reduction to the absolute essential structure, is what achieves the mystical light, or Kwamen Ek. It's like seeing the fundamental reality.
A vision.
Yeah.
Just raw, stripped-down existence.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful, isn't it? It seems to grant them that superhuman sight you mentioned.
It does. After that, supposedly nothing can be hidden. They can see through physical barriers, track lost souls, because they've seen beyond the surface level, right down to the bones of existence.
And then comes the rebuilding. The rebirth part isn't just symbolic. There's also this idea of magical implants.
Yes, the reconstruction is often signaled by spirits inserting magical substances or even new organs into the initiate's body. This confers the superhuman abilities.
Like the Australian medicine men.
Right, they believe spirits place fragments of quartz called Atnangara inside them. These are seen as solidified light or concentrated spiritual power.
And elsewhere.
We even find accounts, like in Borneo, of rituals involving the symbolic replacement of viscera, the internal organs, to grant things like better sight or a more compassionate, tender heart. The body is literally remade, reforged to be fit for cosmic journeys.
Okay, so once they're rebuilt, initiated, empowered, they're ready to actually make these journeys. How do they understand the cosmos they're navigating? Is there a map?
There is a fundamental concept, the world axis, or axis mundi.
The world tree or the cosmic pillar?
Exactly. It's conceived as this central point, this vertical axis that connects the three major cosmic zones, the heavens above, our Earth in the middle, and the underworld below. It's the main highway, the spiritual backbone of the universe.
And sometimes the initiation involves literally climbing this axis.
Sometimes, yes, in a very literal ritual sense. For a Buryat novice, part of the initiation rite involves climbing a specially prepared birch tree that has 9 notches cut into it. These symbolize the 9 levels of heaven.
Wow. And the Carib shaman, the Pujai.
They use a spiral ladder in their rituals explicitly to ascend to the sky world. The ascent is a core technique.
But they also need to go down to the underworld.
Just as essential and often far more dangerous. A common reason for illness is believed to be soul loss. The soul has been stolen or has wandered off. The shaman has to go retrieve it, usually from the underworld. The Archaic traditions give us great examples of this descent.
Tell us about that. It sounds like a proper epic quest narrative.
It really is, and it's undertaken in a deep trance state. The shaman visualizes riding a horse, typically heading south, the direction associated with death and the underworld. They climb a symbolic mountain, then descend through an opening, sometimes called the jaws of the earth.
Sounds perilous already.
And then comes the real test. They often have to cross a terrifying bridge. It's described as being narrow as a hair or the blade of a knife, stretching over a vast sea or abyss. And below lie the bones of countless shamans who failed the crossing.
Good grief. The pressure. Knowing that one slip means you join that pile of bones, that's an intense psychological barrier.
Absolutely. Successfully crossing that bridge is the ultimate proof of passage. It signifies moving from one state of being to another, from the living to the realm of the dead, from the uninitiated novice to the fully qualified specialist.
And they see things on this journey.
Oh, yes. As they cross, they often witness scenes of the afterlife, sometimes seeing sinners being punished according to their crimes, like the slanderer hung by the tongue or the eavesdropper nailed by the ear. It maps out a kind of cosmological morality.
So to undertake these incredibly dangerous journeys, both up and down, the shaman needs tools, physical objects that help them. Let's talk about the big two, the costume and the drum.
Right, essential equipment. The shaman's robe or costume is much more than clothing. It's transformative. It essentially becomes their spirit body for the journey.
And it's loaded with symbolism.
Yeah.
The metal pieces.
Yes. Among the Yakut and Buryat, for example, you see lots of iron discs, cones, and little chains sewn onto the kaftan. These act as spiritual armor, protecting against hostile spirits. They jingle and clang, creating a kind of protective aura.
And the feathers are pretty obvious, linking to
Magical flight, exactly. Eagle feathers, owl, swan birds, known for their power and ability to travel between worlds. The caps, too, often have reindeer or stag horns, representing control over those powerful animal spirits. Or the cap might be made entirely from the skin of a significant animal, like a brown owl for the Telit shamans.
But there's a deeper symbolism, too, related to the initiation.
Yes, very deep. Often the arrangement of the metal pieces, the discs and pendants on the robe, is explicitly meant to represent the shaman's own skeleton.
Ah, right. It connects back directly to that initiatory death and being reduced to bones. The costume is a constant, wearable reminder of their ordeal and rebirth.
Precisely. It's a visual statement of their mastery over death. This focus on the skeleton, represented externally on the robe, likely connects to very ancient hunting beliefs, where bones were seen as the source of life, the essential part from which animals and people could be reborn.
Okay, and then there's the sound, the drum. We often associate shamanism with intense drumming. Is it just to make noise and scare away demons?
That might be part of it, but its primary function, according to these sources, is far more profound. The drum is fundamentally a magical vehicle. It's what carries the shaman on their journey.
How so?
Well, the drum itself is often a microcosm, a map of the cosmos. The drum skin is frequently painted or ornamented with symbols representing the world tree, the sun, the moon, maybe a rainbow, which is often seen as another bridge to the sky, and depictions of the 3 cosmic zones.
So it's literally their spiritual transport and their GPS, all in one, ready for takeoff.
You could put it that way, yeah. And the intense rhythmic drumming, the musical magic, as it's sometimes called, isn't just noise. It's what generates the trance state, the sonic pulses that actually facilitate the ecstatic journey. It's held by a special handle, often with bells or iron rattles attached, representing
The helping spirits.
exactly images or symbols of their essential animal helpers, bears, wolves, eagles, geese, whatever they might be.
And these helping spirits, they're absolutely crucial, aren't they? They're the proof that the shaman is actually doing this, not just putting on a show.
They are the authenticating sign, yes. They are the shaman's guides, protectors, messengers, their eyes, ears, and muscle in the spirit world. Without them, the journey isn't possible, or at least not verifiable to the community.
Which brings us back to the community. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the bottom line? What essential value does this incredibly specialized, often dangerous, and solitary figure provide? Why does the shaman matter so much?
I think the shaman's most fundamental role is providing assurance. In a world that can feel chaotic, full of unseen dangers, invisible threats, sickness, malevolent spirits, the community is assured that they have someone, a specialist.
Someone who can go there.
Someone who can deliberately venture into that darkness, who knows the way, who can fight those forces, confront those spirits, and critically bring back reliable information, bring back lost souls. The shaman proves that the terrifying invisible world isn't impenetrable, it can be navigated.
So the whole intense process, the calling, the sickness, the dismemberment visions, the perilous journeys, battling demons, it's ultimately about restoration.
In a profound way, yes. The sources really push us to consider the shaman's ecstasy, particularly the ascent to heaven, the magical flight, as something quite extraordinary. It's like a privileged individual managing to recover, even if temporarily, the human condition as it was before the mythical fall.
Before the separation between humanity and the divine.
Exactly. A return to a primordial, maybe even paradisal state where communication with the sacred, with the sky gods, was easy, direct, natural.
So a living person achieving a connection that, for the rest of us, might only be possible after death itself. Thinking of the shaman not just as a healer or a magician, but as this living bridge, restoring a lost connection for everyone. That's a really powerful final thought.
It puts their role in a much larger cosmic perspective.
It certainly does. Well, thank you for guiding us through all of that complex and fascinating material today.
It was my pleasure. A truly rich subject.
And thank you out there for joining us for the deep dive. We'll see you next time.